Yo guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with an awesome new subreddit. In r/wholesome stories, we come across an OP that gets his heart broken by a 8-year-old girl, and of course r/churchdrama, which is as awful as usual because a young girl gets humiliated for wearing a bikini. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the next one is titled, "The 8-year-old girl next door just broke my heart." Some backstory: I am a 24-year-old guy. I love tooling around on old cars, something I've done together with my dad since I was a kid. He was all too happy to have me carry it on. So I work your typical 8 to 5 schedule, and I quite often am in the garage after work fixing up this old Mustang I've been on for the last 2 years or so. A completely unrestored 65 Mustang that my dad has had for years to take on now that I am out in the world. That was a special moment. So one day I started leaving the garage door open, and it is to the front, so pretty much everyone can see what I am doing. People stop by, chat, say hello, it's great. I always love to chat it up, especially older folks that are happy to see a young guy getting his hands dirty working hard on a classic. So, about a year ago during the summer, the neighbor's mom asked if I could look after their little girl, Rachel, a quiet little girl that always seemed well behaved. I did not mind, but I said I'm really committed to working on this car. If you feel good enough to let her over here while I'm working on the car, not a problem. It turns out they are going through a divorce. The dad works the 3rd shift, the mom's got a part-time gig, evening hours just are not good for them. Okay, so this starts and it goes fine. She's quiet, usually reading books or watching the TV I brought out, so she would be around me. I always made sure to be courteous, firm, and try out dad humor every now and then. Well, she starts to come out of her shell after a while, and it was a joy. I still remember when she first asked about why I was working on the car. "Why are you working on that car when you have one that is newer and works?" "Well, you know, this car is about 45 years older than the other one. It's a classic. She will be much prettier when I'm done with her. I've been sitting in the garage helping my pop since I was younger than you. I always wanted to be like him, so I would sit and learn, and eventually he let me help." "Oh, whenever I see Dad, he's always sleeping." "Well, he's working hard to provide for you. He's working a tough job." She just kind of was quiet after that, but after 2 or 3 months, she started being cheerful when she came over, always asking questions about what I was doing specifically. This part and that, why it needed to be done, what made it work, I was glad to impart knowledge. I think everyone likes teaching a bit, especially something you're passionate about. I started teaching her about tools, how to recognize which ones you need, what they can do on a car or around the house. She started to light up. I got the sense that besides school, she did not have much of a parental figure or anyone to teach her anything about life or anything. One time my dad visited in his 66 GT convertible, and I took her for a ride in it. I will always remember how she smiled, saying, "Is this what yours is going to be like?" "Should be, but mine's a coupe, so it won't be quite as nice." "No, yours will be much better, because we've been doing it." My chin started to wobble, and I just smiled and said, "You are right, it will be." She had really started to grow on me. I mean, it would be impossible not to let her into your heart. A bright-eyed, smart little girl that just soaks up everything you teach her, wants to learn, and looks up to you like that. It made me sad because the times I saw her parents interact, they were always snide or yelling at each other when they were around, that is. This spring I started noticing the mother leaving without a uniform, sometimes dressed to go out. I came to the conclusion she quit or was not working, but still taking advantage of me babysitting, which I did not mind in the slightest. Sometimes Rachel would be quiet more when she came over, but I always waited until she would open up. She would let out tidbits like, "Mommy woke me up late at night, she was acting funny," or "She came home with someone that was not daddy," or the like. It would pierce my heart, but I did not know what to do except keep being a safe harbor for her of sorts. She started hugging me more often, squeezing me as hard as she could. I would always get a lump in my throat. She has just warmed her way into my heart, how when I take a break and sit down, she will climb all over me until I give her the proper attention every now and then when she does some mannerism or phrase she picked up from me, even just when I ask her to hand me a tool and she picks the proper one, no problem. We had some of the best times I can remember, just tinkering under my car, her with a wretchedy old sweater of mine on with safety glasses so old dirt would not fall in her eyes, watching me work, asking away. One time she nicked herself on the edge of the radiator support and I picked her up and went to bandage it up. I told her, most girls your age would cry if they got that little cut. She said brightly, now my hands are gonna get all beat up like yours. I did not even know what to say, so I burst out laughing, plus another lump in the throat, and hugged her and said, you are the best little girl in the world, you know that? Then, a few weeks ago, her mom came over and said they were going to get a divorce and if I could still keep watching her during the week. I told her I was sorry and absolutely, she's a delight to have around. Yesterday she was morose and quiet unlike she had been in a long time. Turns out her parents will be separating and they will have to move soon. She started crying and hugged me, asking if it meant she won't be able to come over anymore. I started tearing up a bit and choked out, I don't know Rachel, I don't know. I hope you can. I love you, you know that? You're the smartest, cutest, best little girl in the world and I love you. She just cried all the harder and said I love you too. She even asked if she could stay with me. Again, I said I don't know, but I don't think it is in the cards. When she left yesterday, I just sat down with a bottle of Jack and started crying. I just cannot take it. That sweet, beautiful little girl that wants to be just like me, giggles when she gets grease on her, tosses on my old dirty sweater when she comes over because she wants to help. I just want to take her up in my arms and take away that pain. She does not deserve to have a crappy childhood growing up with a non-existent father or a crappy mother. F it, I just cannot deal with it, it effing tears my heart apart. And guys, I'm curious, what sort of passion do you have? Do you also enjoy working on old cars? Let us know in the comments. Personally, when I think about my passions, if there is even a plural available, then I would say it's probably motorcycles, reading, YouTube, and traveling, even though at the moment that's a bit difficult. And the next one is titled, Fiancé surprised me with a house he built himself and it means more to me than he will ever comprehend. I grew up in a very toxic, unstable environment. My dream is to find that feeling of home and have a space that is stable, safe and secure. I somehow had this conversation of home the first night I ever met my now fiancé when we were randomly talking about our childhood. I told him the concept of home is so important to me and I am very particular about the environment I live in. I can only hope that one day I can achieve that. My fiancé owns a construction company and we have been browsing houses to purchase over the last year, but none ever felt quite right. We viewed a piece of land out in the deep country last spring that is absolutely divine and we talked about how we wished we could purchase it and build a dream home on it. I had never thought we could actually do it. Little did I know, not long after my fiancé made the decision to purchase the land and start building. Our anniversary was this past weekend and he told me he had a surprise for me. He blindfolded me, put me in the passenger seat and giggled like a 5-year-old the whole way there. When I removed that blindfold and took in what I was looking at, I could not even believe it. After asking, "Are you serious?" about 10 times, I started bawling. It has everything I have always talked about. A quaint classic farmhouse design, a wraparound porch, a mud room at the front with a double entry like I've always said I wanted. It makes me feel safe, I don't know why, and while it is not quite finished like it was supposed to be yet because of everything going on in the world, it is absolutely perfect. I truly cannot believe I have this much good luck with this perfect man after spending a lifetime not knowing where a home was or how that felt. Now I know. You know guys, OP actually makes a very interesting point at the beginning. She said that the concept of home is very important for her, so basically she can only feel at home in a particular environment. I'm curious, how do you feel about that? For me personally, home can be pretty much anywhere, especially because I enjoy traveling. As an example, Being in Thailand really feels like home to me, but of course I also enjoy being in Europe, which is my first real home, so to say. And the first one is titled Being the Dad She Always Wanted. It is currently 4:30 AM. I was sleeping in bed with my girlfriend when all of a sudden I heard the door creak open. I opened my eyes and saw my girlfriend's daughter in the doorway. She noticed I opened my eyes and silently tiptoed to me. She told me she threw up in the trash can in her room and then said she does not feel good at all. So I got up and she held my hand as I walked to her bedroom and saw the vomit in her trash can. I put my hand on her forehead and she was on fire. I tried to work quickly as possible to get rid of the trash bag and fill it with a new and clean one. She ran into the bathroom and began throwing up even more. I lightly tapped the door and whispered to her, "Can I come in?" And she goes, "Yeah, you can, Dad." She was extremely sick in the bathroom. My heart hurt for her because stuff like this really takes a toll on her. I went through the medicine cabinet to find flu medication. Once I found some, I gave it to her. I brought a trash can into the living room and brought some pillows and blankets out. I put on SpongeBob but left the volume low. I told her to come lay down and I will get her some water. She asked me to stay because she felt so sick and was scared to be alone. After I got her some water, we both laid on the couch together, cuddling and watching SpongeBob. She goes, "My real dad never helps me like this when I'm sick." I did not really know what to say. I was furious with her bio dad. She eventually started drifting asleep. I felt my eyes get heavy too. Then I heard her say, "I love you, Dad. Thank you for taking care of me." I would be lying if I did not say I felt tears in my eyes. I love my girlfriend's kids as if they were my own. I love when they call me Dad. I would sacrifice myself for my girlfriend and her kids. They have given me so much and I could never repay them. I am such a lucky guy. I told her I love her too. And guys, if you enjoy wholesome stories, please let me know in the comments and I will continue with them. And the next one is titled I eavesdropped on my girlfriend and her daughter talking together about me. My girlfriend just got her kids back from their dads today. And guys, by the way, I'm not sure if the plural of dad was intended or if it was a typo. Anyway, I'm quite as excited to have them back as my girlfriend is. Those kids mean the world to me and they have no idea what they have done for me mentally and emotionally. I have a fantastic relationship with her two kids. They call me Dad and never by my actual name, which I'm not complaining, and it felt so natural and never made me feel awkward. Their biological dad is a very sick, narcissistic person and her kids are growing up to see that now. They want to be with me and their mom full time. I have had a bunch of times where both kids cry to me in real life and over text that they want to come back and not be with their dad. I have felt so helpless, but now we're gonna fight for a custody change and make my girlfriend have the majority of the custody. Anyway, after saying my hellos to both kids when I got home, I went to take a shower. The bathroom is right beside our room and her daughter like to watch movies in our room, which I join in on a lot of the time too. After I shut the water off, I heard them talking in the next room about me. Her daughter was expressing how I felt more like a real dad to her than her actual dad and that I actually pay attention to her unlike he does. He is too busy paying attention to his girlfriend and her kids, she said. She also said I take time out of my day to play with her or take her out somewhere for shopping or to get a treat. Her dad does not do any of that. She expressed how much she loved me and wanted to stay with us. My girlfriend reassured her that we are gonna fight for her, that she loves me too. Her daughter then said how I am so much better than her dad's girlfriend. She does not like his girlfriend. Then she said she wanted to stay here on Father's Day and spend time with me. I just melted. And as a little bonus, the last two stories are gonna be from r/churchdrama, which is a really old school subreddit, but I know that many of my old subscribers really enjoy this one. The first one is titled Grandpa Tells Off a KKK Leader. Hello everyone, I return with some more juicy church drama. This one is not about my dad this time, don't worry, I have a particularly spicy one after this, but about my grandpa, who was also a pastor. For some backstory, my dad is a third-generation pastor in a family that all grew up Baptist in the South, though we are not necessarily Southern Baptist. My grandpa passed away last September, and this is my favorite story about him to this day. Note, none of us have the exact wording down because my grandpa was by himself when this happened, but overall the details are always the same. It is short and sweet, but still a pretty great story. When my grandpa was a young minister, he lived in a tiny town in South Carolina in the 1960s and had to take a trip to the local drugstore one day for my grandma. While there, he heard the store owner, a member of my grandpa's church and the leader of their local KKK, going on and on about black people for whatever dumb reason he had. So my grandpa listens to him for a bit before asking the man, "Do you believe all black people are going to hell?" The store owner said, "Yes, Pastor, I do." And my badass grandpa says, "Then you'd better get used to seeing them, because if you keep treating your brothers and sisters in Christ like this, you're going to hell too," and walked out of the store. So to this day, when people ask about my family, I bring up the time my grandpa told off a clan leader. Even up to his death, my grandpa was one of the most kind-hearted, loving and accepting people I have ever met. But he had no tolerance for any BS like racism, sexism or anything. I will miss him and his kindness for the rest of my days. And the last one is also a bonus story from r/churchdrama and is titled "Bible Camp Counselors Tried to Publicly Humiliate Female Campers." I want to preface this by saying I loved the camp I went to for many years. It was a Bible camp but had a lot of regular, fun camp experiences. I grew up Christian and stuck very close to the rules at that time. I was as prudish as you can imagine. For many years, this place was a healing ground for my spiritual fire and commitment to God. That changed my last year of camp when I was around 16 or 17. I was so psyched for my last year of camp, I was too old to continue because I had so many friends that came back every year. All of us campers by this time had hit puberty, some had significant others, etc. They had rules around dress code, areas boys and girls could be in communally, etc. That is fine, I understood that. The first few days of camp were normal and I had fun. I did not become angry until the camp counselors and leaders started trying to crack down harder on small things. I am a tall woman at 6 foot tall. I got talked to every day about my short length. We were required to have thigh-length shorts. What might have been a good length on petite women was shorter on me. My legs, as I had sprouted like a weed that year, were the longest part of my body. I had to wear all basketball shorts to comply, and when you are 16, you feel like the resident slob never being able to change into some cute jeans shorts. Self-image was a huge concern of mine, as I had some cute guy friends at camp that I was close with. It hit my self-esteem, but if I didn't, they would pull me out of an activity to go change. I rolled with this rule. The next day, me and my best friend went down to the lake. We were not allowed to wear bikinis because it was inappropriate. You had to wear a one-piece or put a tank top on over your bikini. We chose the latter and grumbled, but were fine with it. It was just the two of us and we swam out to those water trampoline things. It was a blast, however, we were not out 10 minutes and got radioed back by the counselor at the dock. They said we could not swim because guys were looking at us, bouncing on the trampoline. We were both mad, but our own counselor took their side and said, "Your tank tops were too tight." Could not have had anything to do with wet clothes, right? The final straw happened about halfway through camp. We had separate men and women's chapel one night. Most of the lessons centered on sexual modesty and how to be a pleasing woman of God. In our chapel, the female counselors said that they'd had a complaint from some of the male counselors. They were bothered by girls going around in short shorts and sports bras. They complained that they were having perverse thoughts that made them feel guilty. Mind you, the men got to run around and swim shirtless. They gave us Bible passages, including one that stood out to me about how it is better to Have a millstone tied around your neck and be thrown in a lake, to paraphrase, than to cause your fellow Christians to deviate from God. They said at group chapel that night that we, all the camp females, were going to be made to go up on our stage and collectively apologize for making your brothers in Christ stumble. I was furious. I told my friends that I could be labeled the camp WHORE, but I was not going to get up and apologize for my body giving someone perverse thoughts. I also had and do have crippling social anxiety. I hated getting up in front of people for the simplest of reasons. I was not going to be publicly shamed. Thankfully, it never got that far. I think some of the female campers who snuck their phones in got a hold of their parents. The uproar must have been massive because the counselors backed out of that plan so quick. My parents were among the angry when I told them after I got home. They knew I was incredibly modest, they were very strict about clothes, and my mom had helped me pick out my summer shorts for camp to ensure their length. So in the end, we were not humiliated publicly, but it left a bad taste in my mouth from what was supposed to be my last amazing year at camp. It used to be my spiritual safe haven, but my faith in the church community was irreversibly shaken after that. And guys, I don't know how you feel about that whole "you cannot wear a bikini, it gives me perverse thoughts." Personally for me, these arguments make me question humanity. If you cannot control your stupid perverse thoughts around teenage girls, shouldn't you then rather work on yourself instead of blaming someone else? Let me know in the comments if this story also made you angry. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our amazing community. Furthermore, don't forget to go to r/ripestories on Reddit to post your own stories if you want me to read them out in a video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I see you again tomorrow.